Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
So I got my first phone at 13 years old. And so my parents said, don't talk to strangers, don't download random things. Great, give me my phone. And once I got the phone, I got myself into having a double life. They would check my phone and I would delete the apps. I was hiding everything. By this time I was 16. I had met someone in an online game and they were around 40 years old. And we had formed like a really great friendship and we started to have feelings. And I was like thinking of moving in with him because he's the one who understands me. He doesn't judge me. He doesn't care that I am a gamer. And so that's my mindset.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Brie Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
We have such a great episode for you today. We always have a great episode for you. We're excited about everything that we bring you. I feel like I say that every episode, so I just have to acknowledge that.
I know, we do say that. If you agree with us, then I would say you share this episode or you rate and review us, like if I just had to throw that out there, because we do think it's pristine. It's a pristine episode. I cry. I am choking back the tears in this episode.
If we could ask you to share it with a friend or go and review us on Apple Podcasts, it really would mean the world to us. Every time we get a new review, like it is pasted on our team Slack. I'm happy for at least a good hour, like on cloud nine afterwards, that somebody has taken the time out of their busy day and sat down and wrote a review. But your reviews are so important for the show as well, because they tell Apple Podcasts that, hey, people like this show. We're going to show it to more people. And so we would really appreciate it. Today, we're talking about keeping your kids safe online. And it's not the typical conversation that you hear out there about all the devices and all the gadgets and all the monitoring and everything like that. No, this is the No Guilt Mom perspective. And we are so excited to be joined by Fareedah Shaheed. She is an award-winning internet safety expert and a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree. She founded Sakuva and the Protect Kids Online PKO membership with the mission of helping parents protect their children online. Through her background in cybersecurity awareness, threat intelligence, and online gaming, she has developed a unique approach called the SAFE method, which she teaches us in this episode, to teaching internet safety to parents by centering on the need for safe spaces and connection as the foundation to protecting kids online. And we hope you enjoy our interview with Fareedah.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Fareedah, I am so happy to have you on the podcast because we recently recorded your session for the Happy Mom Summit. And so just able to be talking to you again is exciting. And to have you share your message with everybody is amazing. And I'm especially excited for Brie to hear it as well.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved our session in the summit. It was so cool.
So you are an internet safety expert and you do not have children, but I have to say to our audience right now, the story Fareedah is going to tell you about why she does what she does is so, so powerful and really brings you so much credibility in this field, especially when talking to our kids. So how did you get into becoming an internet safety expert?
I mean, there's two sides, right? Dun, dun, dun. There's two sides to the story. There's the professional side, superhero cape, I don't know. And you're working in cybersecurity, threat intelligence, working with internal, external clients, talking about protecting, data in a firm. And then I did that for a couple of years. And while I was doing these sessions, people would come up to me and they're like, you look a little young. I feel like you could tell us a little bit more about what's going on in the gaming world. And it kind of gave me flashbacks to what I went to. And I was like, I don't know if I want to talk about that. And I eventually started speaking more about my story because it was so important. And I felt like it resonated with people. And that's when I started my business to help parents protect their kids online. So I got my first phone at 13 years old. I started with the Nokia phone and I was playing those like snake games, and I had spent so much time convincing. Yeah, it was so great. It was awesome, honestly. And I spent so much time convincing my parents that I would be kidnapped if I didn't get the newest smartphone that was coming out, because it took too long to hit the emergency button. And by then they will lose their only child. And like, what is their life anymore?
Oh my God, child.
That is,
As a parent who has crazy anxiety, wow. I mean,
I really went in. I had a whole presentation.
But I don't think that you're that off base. I think there's a lot of kids that do that. But I would be like, here you go, kid.
It's like, okay.
Everything.
Well, I also think like there's a lot of parents who are so scared of technology and so scared of things happening to their kids that of course that works. But
it worked. I don't know if it worked the way that I did it. I don't know if they came to a decision on their own after I talked. I don't really know what happened in the back end, but I do know that 6 months later I got my phone.
Yeah. You hit the nerve right there on that one.
I was like, and we were in a different country too, in the middle of the desert. So it was like, I did the whole thing. I made it like a movie. And so they gave in and they said, okay, sure. But like, don't talk to strangers. Don't download random things. Don't tell people where you live, your name. Don't give them the photo. And I was like, great. Give me my phone. And once I got the phone, I was like, oh my God, this is a portal. Like, I always loved reading. I loved learning about different cultures and languages, and the internet was the same way. And so all of the rules that my mom and my dad had told me just kind of went out the window. I was just like, yeah, whatever. They don't understand the online world. And I started gaming online and talking to strangers. And I met people that were phenomenal. Honestly, we're still friends till this day. Married, went to divorces, children, miscarriages, moving countries, moving jobs. And then also there were people that were not good for me. And I did not know that that's what they were as a kid. They were just my friend that maybe made me feel uncomfortable, made me feel like, like this is just maybe not good. But, that just happens with friendship. It's up and down. I didn't realize that, okay, someone who's talking to a 13-year-old when you're 40 years old, saying things to me, asking me things is not a good thing. Like, that's grooming. I knew it intellectually, but in the moment you're just like, like whatever. They're just trying to flirt or have fun. Like, let me move on. And I got myself 3 years into having a double life because, of course, my parent did not know that this was happening. Like, they would check my phone and I would delete the apps. Like, I was hiding everything.
Yeah.
And 3 years into my career of being just all over online and doing whatever I wanted to, I had met someone in an online game. And by this time I was 16 and they were around 40 years old. I can't remember when I knew that their age, but I think it was into the middle of us talking. And we had formed like a really great friendship and we started to have feelings. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'm going to go visit my friend. Let's go meet each other for the first time at a park. And so I had planned that entire thing. And I'm very secretive. Like, if I don't want someone to know something, that's how I was as a kid. And I had this feeling though, that something was off and something wasn't right. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even drink water. I was feeling nauseous. And I just felt like, maybe I should just tell my mom that I'm meeting him. I'm not asking for permission. Like, I'm just going to tell her I'm meeting him. And I was thinking of moving in with him. And if she gives me a problem, then she's right. Like, maybe I should just move in with him because he's the one who understands me. He doesn't judge me. He doesn't care that I am a gamer, that I'm a nerd, that I'm a geek. Like, he's going to accept me. And so that's my mindset then.
And Fareedah, for everyone in podcast land, Bree is currently freaking out.
I'm like trying not to cry.
She has her hands over her mouth.
Oh
She's
my
like,
God. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're here, so that's a start.
You're
so
here. Yes.
Keep going.
Yes, I'm alive. Thankfully. And I knocked on my mom's door and I just said, hey, like, obviously she knows that I was going to visit my friend. So it wasn't weird that I was packing my bags. I just told her, look, I'm also planning to meet someone I met online. And she's like, okay. And I said, we kind of like each other. We've been speaking for a couple of months. And I'm just telling you where I'm going to meet him. And I just want you to know in case something happens to me. And I was like about to leave the room. Like, I'm not having a conversation. I'm just telling you what's happening.
Oh my God.
And so she was like, I thought she was going to freak out, which is totally justified, to be honest. Like, I thought she's going to be like, who is this guy? Like, let me show his picture. How did you meet him? Why would you be talking to him? I thought you're not supposed to be talking, like the whole thing. And she did it though. And I was so surprised. It shocked my system as a teen. I was like, why is she not reacting? So I was kind of like confused. And it was like a cliffhanger as a kid where you're just like, like she's not having the reaction I thought she was having. And she was just like, okay. So like you met him in an online game. Like, what's his name? What do you like about him? And I genuinely felt like I was speaking to my best friend. And I felt like so safe. And it was so weird because I didn't expect to feel that way. I thought that there was going to be like some clashing. And she just made me feel like I could talk to her about anything. So I told her all of the details. And thankfully, I mean, she knew not to push too hard because I was still private. So she didn't ask to see his photos. She didn't ask to see our texts. She kind of like left that part alone. And after talking to her, I was like, wait a minute, she actually does care about me. She's not trying to control me. She's not trying to judge me. She's not saying you're a horrible person. She's not saying, why didn't you not listen to me? I felt good. And then I remembered my feelings when I was with him. And I was like, he was asking me to do things that I was not comfortable with. He was like, sometimes he would belittle me. Sometimes he'd be like, ugh, like, you know, people your age. And I'm like, well, why are you talking to me? Like, talk to somebody else. So I remembered those moments where I felt like, oh, this doesn't feel safe. And it was in contrast to what my mom was saying. And so at that moment, I was like, you know, I'm not going to go meet him. Like, I'll go meet my friend and I'll spend time with her over the weekend. But I don't know if I want to meet him anymore because this feels better to me than what he makes me feel sometimes. And that changed my entire life. So ever since that moment, every single time I talked to somebody online, whether it's a friend or not a friend, when I was going to meet somebody, I eventually did meet people from online games, but it was very safe in the most safe way possible. And I told her everything, and she was always clued into all of the red flags. And that is why I started what I started today, because I know how it feels to be a kid, to be groomed online, and things to turn out in a way that's not good for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What I love about your story is because so much right now for parents about keeping kids safe online is about, oh, get this app, lock things down, don't let them have access to these things. And knowing just from our research and my the experience I've had, it doesn't work with kids. Just like you said,
because
like,
you guys are smart.
Go around it.
Very. Too smart.
Yeah.
But we're all smart. That's my thing. It's like, you don't have to be tech savvy to keep your kids safe. My mother in that circumstance, a lot of mothers look at her and they're like, oh my God, she's like the ideal mom. Like, oh my God, she had the greatest reaction. And when I asked her how she was feeling, she was like, no, my entire world was falling apart. Like, her marriage is falling apart. She just got a divorce from my dad. We moved from a different country. She had to get a different job. Like, her entire life, everything she thought that she was doing perfect was falling apart. The one piece that was keeping her together, which was me, was also falling apart. And she was like, oh my God, like, how did I miss this for 3 years? Like, I didn't know this was going on. Like, how did I get to the point where she felt safer to be with somebody online? Like, this is crazy. So in her brain, she was like, this is the last conversation we're having. And she knew I was a very headstrong kid. So she knew that nothing she said was going to sway me. So she was like, okay, what's the last conversation I want to have with her? I clearly have lost her. I clearly failed as a parent. So what's the one thing I could tell her to make her remember that I love her? So even when she goes, she was convinced that I'm going to go see him. And I was, honestly. She was like, even if she goes there and he does abuse her, because she knew that he was going to, based off of obviously the circumstances. The odds. The statistics there. So she was like, so at least she could understand that she has this place to come back to if that were to happen. Because she knew that she couldn't like control me. I mean.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. I think unfortunately that is that fallacy that we can control everything, and that the harder we bring things down to control everything, the more our kids are going to listen.
And it doesn't happen that way. Well, after this break, Fareedah, I want to talk more about what you see parents are doing wrong in terms of keeping their kids safe online. And we'll get to that right after this.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/SBO. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
So I wanted to bring up something that happened at one of my kids' schools that went out on the parent group chat. And I want to hear your thoughts on it, Fareedah, because there was like this all alert among this mom's group chat. And let's say it is all moms. And it was that one of the kids in the such and such class introduced our students to OnlyFans in the classroom. Bree's about to spit out her water.
Oh my God! No way!
Apparently.
Oh my God! To be a fly on the wall of that elementary classroom. Woo-hoo!
Elementary?
Yeah.
Middle
upper
school.
Elementary,
Right?
school.
Or no?
It's
I was
technically
going to
middle
say.
school, but it's in an elementary school. It's 6th grade.
Okay.
And they're like, if you might want to have conversations with your kids, because I don't think anything really like explicit was seen, but some of the poses were suggestive, and you might want to talk about pornography and online pornography and everything.
Wait, I'm sorry. All I can think of is how everybody, like the big spoof that everybody has an OnlyFans account for feet. And so all I can think about is the kids saw perfectly pedicured toenails.
Pedicured toenails. But like,
sorry. Go on. I know that's not all that's on OnlyFans.
The reaction in this group was, lock it down. What apps could we use? I use this app to tell me everything. I use this app to tell me everything. So what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. Again, 2 different thoughts, right? So I have like the security hat, which like a lot of parental control apps are not safe for your kids. I think we talked about in the summit.
We did talk about that in the summit,
yeah. So like y'all just definitely go check out the summit and actually like listen to all the interviews, not just me, but other people. You have to be mindful of that because not all apps are safe. And then the second part is, and the reason being is, I'm going to go back to that. The reason being is because predators can also be hackers and they have access and tools to hack into the app to see what your kids are doing. So everything you're monitoring your kids on, they can monitor your kids on if the company doesn't have good security. Mm-hmm. And this has happened before, and they have hacked and leaked a lot of information about kids. So that's something that I'm really mindful of when it comes to third-party monitoring apps. And I'm like, ooh, you be really careful on that end. And then the second part is that, I mean, you can monitor everything and your child could be still hiding their entire life from you.
Yeah.
There are kids who have like a second phone that's connected to the neighbor's Wi-Fi, and the parents like, I locked down everything and I thought they're going to have a fit and they were totally fine. I was like, that's a red flag.
A red flag. That's a warning. It's a warning.
Right.
If things don't react the way you thought they would, there's possibly an ulterior motive.
They're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. You're following me on Instagram. I got like a different Instagram account. Like, they don't care. So,
oh, yeah, I know that. Jeez. How many Instagram accounts do you think most teens have?
A minimum of 2. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if they can handle a lot more than that. I think, I'm not saying they can't, but I feel as though they're more interested in having a variety of different experiences than having many different apps. But teens change. I mean, honestly, it does depend on your child and how they use it. I did have social media as a kid, but I didn't. Social media wasn't, first of all, Instagram really wasn't a thing yet. And so it was really mostly Facebook, and people are, of course, in MySpace and like, people and forums, a lot of forums, and Kik. I was on Kik a lot. Kik was a huge thing.
I don't know.
Different groups.
Oh,
yeah, that's like those messaging app, and I was on that all the time. Like that was my favorite thing. And I was in many different other things. Kik has given me so much trauma. I have a lot of trauma with Kik. Like I don't even.
Is that kind of like Discord?
Yes, it's kind of like Discord, but it's less. I've been on Discord since it launched too. Discord has way less trauma for me than Kik. Kik, I would say it's just a less, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's not as robust. It's not as robust. Okay. And Discord started for gamers. So that's how I got on Discord, because I've been gaming for all these years. Mm-hmm. So like Discord started off for gamers. And then when the pandemic happened, of course, they switched it up and they're like, oh, cool. Like let's have every type of subject inside of Discord. So I use Discord for my gaming side, but also for my business side too, which is like kind of cool.
Cool. Yeah. Like, so I see a lot of like drama associated with online usage, and especially among parents. And I feel like a lot of the drama is due to some misinformation about what's going on in the apps, and also like not knowing exactly how to talk to kids to keep them safe. One of the big pieces of drama is Roblox still. And Roblox did have like a huge problem before. Can you bring us up to speed on where Roblox is at now and what parents should be aware of?
I'm not team ban Roblox unless you personally believe you need to ban it in your household. Mm-hmm. If you see your child's character changing, the words that they're using changing, they're like, it's just their personality is just morphing into what they see on YouTube and Roblox, then by all means, like take a break, see how your child is doing. If it's better, then like keep Roblox off, give them an alternative game. However, the drama around Roblox, to me, it's only because they're the biggest platform. Mm-hmm. And what I see is the conversation we have around it and the large scale is, I believe, doing more harm than good. And the general scale is actually doing well because it's making sure that Roblox is putting more safety controls to keep kids safe. And so they're trying. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're not going to do a perfect job. Obviously, they're missing a lot of marks, but they're also doing a lot of great things. So it's a very nuanced issue. The second part is that, like, to be honest, it is the internet. And anytime there's an online game and you have kids, it's never it's not going to be great. If you want your kids to game in a safer environment, it has to be offline. That's point blank, period. There's no way it can be online and it can be safer. Now, if they're they have absolutely zero ability to chat, if it's like a Minecraft private server or something, it's better. So it really does depend on the child. But what I see people doing is they're making so much ruckus. Is that the right word? I don't know if ruckus is the right word, but there's a lot of like drama around Roblox, right? And people are like, oh, I'm pulling my kids from Roblox. And they pull their kids from Roblox and their child installs like a random mobile game. I'm like, that's literally the same as it's worse, actually. It's worse because they don't have like millions of dollars to invest in a safety and security and privacy and child safety team. They don't have parental controls. It's an out open world. So these parents are like, oh, great. Like my child is not on Roblox. They're on a mobile game app that I looked at the reviews and it looked good. And I'm like, oh, I mean, as someone who's met a predator on a mobile game app,
it's not,
it's not, you know.
You're like, I don't know how else to say this,
I don't know. But I still am like it. I also believe that you're the expert in your child. Mm-hmm. So if you truly believe that Roblox it's no, then it's a no. Don't listen to some random internet safety expert, me, when your gut feeling is telling you something else. I always say, like, I will give you what I know from working with thousands of families and working in corporate and being a victim of this myself. And you take that information and you take the information that you know about yourself and your family, your child, and then you come up with a solution that's best for you. Because again, we're in no guilt mom mode, right? That's number one. Number two, you have experiences that can protect your kids on gaming apps. You don't need to know more than your kids are being tech savvy. What you went through as a teen, as an adult, what you go through now will help you protect your kids from predators. You don't need to know the latest slang, the latest app, all of the parental controls, keeping up with everything. Like, you just keep up with yourself and your kid. That's enough. That's good. I'm not saying that to make you feel better. I'm literally saying that because that's the way you protect your kids online. I firmly believe that.
It's all you need. Yeah. I mean, like, my son uses Roblox a lot, and I have to say all of the drama around Roblox, it infests you as a parent, thinking that you're making the wrong decision and you're completely harming your child for life, and that like somehow, I mean, and I know logically that's not the case, but also like all of the chatter when you have it around you, you can't help but have it sink in. But Fareedah, you have a method, which I love an acronym. I love a good acronym, and it's SAFE. It's called SAFE, and we're going to get into it right after this.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
Lynn, this time of year, parenting can be such a flusterclux.
You've come to the right place. I'm Lynn Lyons, and I've been treating anxious families for over 30 years.
I'm Lynn's sister-in-law and co-host Robin Hudson.
Join us for Flusterclux, a podcast for parents who worry.
Wait, that's everybody.
Yeah, these last few years have felt like one long anxiety attack for so many.
Why do you think parents are always surprised that a podcast about anxiety relates to them, even if no one in their house has an anxiety disorder?
Well, worry is human. Everyone does it, and anxiety shows up when we face uncertainty.
All the parenting tips you've taught me have been essential.
I love to break it down into skills we need to manage worry in our families.
We've covered so many topics: depression, burnout, meltdowns, perfectionism.
Don't forget scary mothers-in-law.
Right, but of course that's not my mother-in-law.
Because that's my mother.
And a listener.
As a psychotherapist, I like to teach parents and kids how to respond to everyday moments in healthy ways.
Managing anxiety really can be taught.
It really can. And I'll even tell you what to say.
We talk about serious stuff, but without being too serious.
Anxiety wants everything serious. Anxiety doesn't stand a chance when we're laughing, even about the tough stuff.
So we've talked so much about what parents may be doing wrong, keeping their kids safe online. So now let's switch into like what they could do. And you have a method called SAFE. Let's go through that method real quick. So tell us what it is.
It's my favorite. So it stands for safe spaces, accountability, fun, and empathy as the guideline, the foundations to keeping your kids safe online. So safe spaces is creating a safe space within yourself. So all the work you're doing with self-regulation, breathing, taking a moment, self-care, therapy, whatever inner healing of your childhood wounds or trauma is, that is safe spaces for yourself. Because when you give that to your inner child, it's easier for you to give it to your child. I experienced that firsthand as someone whose mother did that, and that changed my entire life. Yeah. That's the only reason why she was able to keep it together at that moment. Yeah. And then you're able to give that safe space to your kids so they can come to you and talk to you about anything. And you say, I'm not going to be mad at you if you tell me anything. And that goes into accountability. And so if you say you're not going to be mad at something, when they tell you something, you can't be mad. But when you get mad and when you scream at them and when you like do something stupid, you don't go back and apologize. Honestly, I think parents messing up and yelling and screaming or doing something they're upset about is the perfect thing ever. I'm like, this is great, because you're showing your kid that it's okay to have a range of emotions. And then you can come back and be like, hey, I apologize. Like, I'm a human being. I had a feeling, I had whatever, and I care about you so much. And I shouldn't have done that, because I'm so happy you're talking to me. The fact that you're here and you trust it to even tell me about this means a lot to me. So thank you. I hope you give me grace. I'm giving you grace. I know that you make mistakes online. I make mistakes, as you can see, as a parent. Just like be super transparent. I know someone told me, they're like, yeah, but it's so hard because I have to be an authority figure. I have to be perfect. If I'm not perfect, then I'm not a good parent. And so I know a lot of people in the summit, a lot of speakers will be speaking about that. And I know that you have a lot of podcast episodes on that.
It's not,
so
yeah.
That's
like,
accountability.
It's when you started talking about that, like I am tearing up, because that is the method that I parent with. But having you said it, like I would have loved for my parents to come to me and say that. I don't ever remember getting an apology as a child for an outburst or anything like that, because that's just not how it was in the 90s. It was always the kid's fault, and parents' emotions were always like correct and right. And it's no wonder I acted this way. It's because you did this. And there was just none of that vulnerability or apologies. So much so that I think a lot of us have learned to close off our emotions as adults and really had to do a lot of our own work to start getting them out again and start feeling like we could be vulnerable with people and admit our faults and admit our mistakes. So I love that. It hits me hard. Like that hit me hard.
Same here, especially like I know we're only a couple letters in, but when you talked about the part about how you can, if you tell your kids that you're a safe place and that they can come to you and not get mad, that you have to hold that. Oh my God. Having been through that, we have our word iguana. And when that came through on a text message one day and having to be chill during all of it, because I promised that would be a safe space. It's not. So I want to say that to people. Like one thing that you brought up is that when you give your kid the safe space, that doesn't mean that there is no follow-up to it. It doesn't mean you guys don't discuss it. It just means in the moment, I am not going to berate you and make things so much harder on you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get through it together and then we're going to find out what happened. But yeah, that is a hard one to like the amount of breathing that had to happen that night was insane. We'll just say that.
Oh, yeah. So you mentioned the S of safe. What about the A?
So that's the accountability. That's like saying if you say you're not going to be mad, then you're not mad. And when you're mad, you apologize because you're going to mess up. And then the fun part, I believe, is the most underrated way to keep your kids safe online that most people don't do. And it's way simpler than the safe spaces and accountability, but with schedule and mental health and all of that, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging, but it's having fun. So it's playing the game with your child. If your child wants to show you what they built on Minecraft or what they're doing on Roblox, like look at it. If they're talking about Roblox or wanting Robux or some event that's happening in Fortnite, lean into it. If you can't at the moment, you can say, hey, like after dinner, before bedtime, when I'm dropping you off to school, just like those moments, let's reconnect. I can't talk about it now, but I can't wait to talk to you about it, even if it's like nails on the chalkboard. And then you're remembering like what's important to them is important, just period. That's fun, it's fun. And if they're on social media, like if you find a video that you think they're going to like, to save it in a folder, to share it with your child. And then you just have a moment like, hey, I found a video on TikTok I think you're going to like, or YouTube or Instagram, and I just want to show it to you. So that's adding fun. And the E is empathy, putting yourself in your child's shoes. And also, honestly, really, it actually starts with empathy for yourself, because I get so many parents who message me like, oh, but I don't think I can do that because I'm not, like, I don't know enough, or like they don't respect me, or I ruined the trust, or like giving yourself empathy, treating yourself how you want someone and you want yourself to treat your child. Do that for your inner self first, and then having empathy for your child's online experiences. So you can't protect your child in a world that you don't know. And I think everyone knows that, but everyone defaults to I need to know the entire world. I need to know AI. I need to know machine learning. I need to know the newest app. I need to know the newest slang. And I'm like, well, has your kid come to you and says skibbity bop or skibbity boop or whatever they're saying these days? Like
skibbity toilet, skibbity toilet,
skibbity toilet, skibbity something. Yep. Like if they didn't say that to you, then you don't need to know it. But if you hear them say it, you can just like do a quick Google. You don't have to repeat because they're like, okay, please, like get out of my face. But you can at least know it because they know it. You don't need to know it if they're not saying it. If they don't care about Fortnite, then you don't need to know anything about Fortnite. But the moment they have any interest in it, then you can look into it. Yeah. So it's like giving yourself empathy, but also that's how you know your child's world. Understanding that the way that your child experiences the world is valid. So what goes on online is their real life. So instead of thinking their online life isn't real and the real life is their real life, it's like all of it is real life. Just one is offline and one is online.
There's two things, like you said in there. First of all, the nails on the chalkboard for the fun thing, because sometimes that's how I feel when my kids want to show me something online and I'm like, this is not funny. And I'm like, I cannot sit here through this. And I'm like, time to breathe. I cannot play Mario Kart right now. Like, it's funny. My son asked me to play Mario Kart, and like, I negotiate with fun stuff because I think that's important that they know me as a parent as much as I know them. And I'm like, hey, like, Mario Kart's not my favorite. Do you know like a story-based game we can play? Like I love like Paper Mario, or like something where you have to achieve things and do levels versus like driving all around. But yeah, it's hard to just sit there and like have fun. It sounds so sad.
Oh, no, because you know what else? Depending upon how old your kid is, when you've got the younger, you got the elementary or the preteens, I think the hardest part is that they love beating the crap out of you in a game. So not only do you fall into a hole in Minecraft and not manage to find your way out, they will never let you forget that. And they will keep telling you how bad you are at the game. Not talking from real experience or anything, but you'll play Mario Kart over and over again because they only want to play with you because they can only beat your pants off. Like you're the one that is the worst. So it's like, gotta be you, Mom.
It's funny. Well, and the second thing I wanted to comment on is the whole language that kids use. Like, I ask for interpretations all the time. I am like, I am not familiar with this term. Tell me this, please. Especially my 16-year-old because she gets it. But like, even my 11-year-old, I'm like, tell me, what does this mean?
Yeah, they can be the Google. I mean, they use you as Google, so you might as well use them as Google
too.
True
that.
Like, what's that?
Yeah, Google Translate.
Translate this, please.
What's that mean?
Google Translate, exactly.
What does that go? Yeah.
Well, Fareedah, tell me something that is exciting that is happening for you in your life.
Oh, the professional side, I'm excited to revamp my membership. I'm creating it based off of my real personal experiences. So when I first got into field, I was just like, what do parents need to know? Everything about protecting your kids online. Here are all the resources. And now I'm like, scrap that. We're going for the heart and soul. Like, what do parents really need to know? What are kids really going through?
Right.
And based off my personal experiences, what can you do step by step to keep your kids safe from predators and hackers? And then in my personal life, I am becoming way more holistic in how I'm operating. When you have your business and your life and everything, it's hard to juggle everything. But I have gotten more back into my health. So I'm excited to be working out. I decided maybe for the next 30 days, I'll work out every single day and see how that feels for the first time in my life.
Yes.
So that's been really exciting. And yeah, just getting to know myself and making sure that I'm giving myself a lot of love through this time.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much for joining us here. And if you want those resources Fareedah recommended on how to keep your kids safe online, go check out our Happy Mom Summit. We are going to be opening up registration in February. So make sure you keep an eye out for that here in No Guilt Mom World. And we'll talk to you later, Fareedah.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. That was a very emotionally stirring episode for me. I mean, she managed to pinpoint so many experiences I have had with my kids and the moments where you question yourself. I mean, I know that my kid's dad takes a way more lock it down approach than I do. Mm-hmm. And listening to her story makes me feel like I have hope because that's the method we've gone with, right? Is let's connect, let's be curious.
Because your kid's dad has the lock it down approach, I mean, they probably didn't realize at first, rather, that you didn't agree with that approach. Because the lock it down approach makes you, as a child, become very secretive, hide a lot of things because you don't want to get in trouble. And I think that's what you saw a lot, but you don't probably see it a lot these days with your kids.
No, I don't. And I think that having a 16 and almost 18-year-old at this point, I would say I check in, I ask my questions, and I have seen the results of it, of them sharing things with me that I'm not sure if they share with their dad necessarily, because they know that I work hard to make it a safe place. I work hard to get that S. I work hard on the accountability of remaining and keeping that safe place for them. Just being accountable for that. I try to make it fun. I don't as much anymore. I've given up a little bit on that.
The funny videos. My daughter does tend to curate funny videos for me and my interests. So
okay. The videos. Yes.
That works really well.
Yeah.
But creating a safe place is so important because you cannot possibly prepare your kids for everything that they are going to run across online. You can't just sit down and be like, we're going to cover this. We're going to cover this. And then you'll be prepared. You really need them to feel safe coming to you when they have an issue. So last night, my daughter was trying to get Sabrina Carpenter tickets here in Phoenix. So she comes into my office and she's like, Mom, okay, I know this is probably a bad idea, but I messaged someone and said they had Sabrina Carpenter tickets and they're really, really good and I need your help. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what's going on with this. And it was interesting how the whole thing unfolded because they were texting her on her number. And I'm like, okay, we need to watch this conversation. They said they were a teenage girl, by the way. And on this account, the teenage girl had posted actual photos of herself and my daughter could not see anything wrong with the account.
Okay.
And I didn't see anything wrong with it either. And so for this whole process, we're like, okay, there's the Ticketmaster tickets. So let's do the whole thing through Ticketmaster. And Ticketmaster doesn't make it very easy to transfer tickets through a sale directly to you. But they're like, yeah, here, we're going to transfer them. And if you could just send me the money via Apple Pay. And I never pay anyone messages through Apple Pay before. And my daughter, because of her age restrictions, she couldn't get on Apple Pay. So I took over the transaction. And as I was looking up and stuff, it says on Apple Pay, you only message the money to people you know because there's no protection. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking them questions. I'm like, yeah, can we use like Venmo? Because on Venmo, I can use my Amex, and Amex offers fraud protection, as does Venmo. No, can't do Venmo. I'm like, and then they initiate this transfer. And it's so interesting because they're like, okay, I transferred you the tickets, and I'm looking at her Ticketmaster account. Nothing is showing up there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nothing's showing up. And they're like, oh, you got an email. And you get this, and there was this email that looked like Ticketmaster, but when you click on the link, the domain link, like they did a real good job. The domain link was mailticketmaster.com instead of Ticketmaster.com.
Oh.
And that was my first one. I'm like, does Ticketmaster do it like this? I don't think it does. There's nothing there. And so I'm asking all these questions, and she's very excited because they're very good seats. And everything that this person is saying, looking back, you're like, oh, that was meant to make us feel this way. And that was meant to make us feel this way. In the end, I was like, I'm not going to do Apple Pay. Can you do Venmo? And they're like, nope, no Venmo. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. We're going to step back. And I'm absolutely sure it was a scammer. Like, absolutely sure that money would have been gone.
Yeah.
But it's making those safe spaces. I wouldn't know to prepare my daughter completely for that situation unless she made me part of the process, because scammers use different techniques all the freaking time. It is constantly changing, and you really have to logically process it through. So
they do.
Places. And until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book, How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.